Okay, the difference between audio effects and MIDI effects. The easiest way to describe this is to load up an instrument first. So let's put an instrument on here. Let's just put an analog. Okay, now I've got an analog. Now, audio effects are going to go after an instrument because they're going to process the audio, right? So if I put an audio effect on here, let's do an obvious one like let's do a simple delay. Simple delay. I throw that on there and that comes after because this can process an audio signal, right? So now I have a delay on there. If I add a MIDI effect, I added this arpeggiator, which we'll talk about what that does in a second, but for now, just follow me on the basic concept here. That goes before the instrument because this processes MIDI data. Now, if I get rid of both these effects, remember that in an instrument here, this takes data and turns it into sound, right? This is a synthesizer. So data comes in here, and we know that that's data because we've got the little dots showing us data. And what comes out is an audio signal, and we know that because we have these lines, right? The green bars show us volume. This shows us data, this shows us volume. So this gets converted to sound in the instrument. MIDI effects can only do stuff to data. They're like data effects, basically. So they can rework the data that's coming in, but they don't do anything with sound. So if I go back to what I was just doing, here's my arpeggiator, data coming in, data coming out, right? If I drag this to the other side of the instrument, it doesn't let me do it, right? Because it needs an instrument to do something, right? It needs data to do something, sorry. If I add an audio effect again back here, it's going to automatically put it at the end. If I try to put this over here, it's not going to let me do it, right? What would happen if I deleted the instrument? This happens. It says I need an instrument because I've got data coming in here, data coming out there, nothing going in here because nothing creates sound there, but sound coming out. So when I play now, I'm going to see data coming in, I'm going to see data coming out, and then that's the end because this needs audio. So I need an instrument. Okay, so I don't need to have an audio effect. I could just do this. And now we're going to use this arpeggiator is going to do different stuff to our MIDI, and it's going to pass it through there. Now, another way to think about MIDI effects is to think that they don't change the sound necessarily. They more reorganize the pitches going in and parameters of the pitches going in, like the volume, the velocity, and things like that. So this particular one, if I play a group of notes, it's going to spread them out and play them one at a time. So I'm going to play 3 notes at the same time now, right? And I'm going to hold it down. Right, so I'm just holding down one chord of 3 notes, and it's playing them one at a time, right? That's what this does. It's not changing the sound at all. It's not adding a delay or anything. It's just separating out the data that I gave it into rhythms. That's what this particular effect does. So it reorganizes our data, but doesn't change the sound necessarily. That's all happening in here. Cool? So something like an equalizer is not a MIDI effect because that changes the sound, right? We need to have sound for an equalizer to change. Something like an arpeggiator, or what would be another good one? The pitch. This one will change the pitches that come in into other pitches. So it's going to change the data coming in, right? So that's the difference between MIDI effects and audio effects. There are much less MIDI effects than there are audio effects because you can only rework the data so many different ways. So with that said, let's dive in and let's just go through all 8 of these and check them out one by one. And let me show you how to use them and what they are. We'll start with the arpeggiator, but let's break to a new video to do that.